had some requests from people wanting to see how to set up the results kiosk. So I grabbed a couple laptops here. I'm going to pretend like this right computer here is my main timing computer, and then one on the left here is the results kiosk. So obviously the setup there talking about is where you'd use like your phone as a hotspot or something. That's what most people probably want to do because it's obviously quick and easy, and people are comfortable with their phones. And so even if you don't have cell coverage, this will still work. Your phone will still create like a network at which both computers can talk to each other. But obviously, most of the time, you're going to have cell coverage probably that allows you to have the internet, which means you can do all the instant SMS results and all the things, pushing results up to run sign up or race roster or race entry or whatever, TFers or whatever you need to do. So, but this video is going to cover this setup on how to get the computers to talk to each other. So, there's obviously a bunch of different ways you can network two computers together, but this is what I do for my computers. So, first thing to do is go to control panels on the bottom left. You can just type in control, and you should see control panel float up to the top. And I'm sorry you're going to have to watch this from my phone, and my phone's going to try to probably focus on the screen back and forth. It may jump back and forth, but that's just the way it is. Otherwise, I got to record one screen and then do the other, go back and forth, and combine it all, and that takes a while. So we'll just see how this goes. So open up control panel, and then go to network and sharing center. Now, if you don't see this collection of items, you may have a category view like this. So you can just switch that to detail view or small icons, or you can just go to network and internet right here. And here you see networking sharing center. So once you're in here, the first thing you're going to do is go to change advanced sharing settings on the left. And then here you're going to turn on all the network discovery and all the file and printer sharing and all that stuff. So if you go through all the different options here, the main thing you want to turn off is at the bottom. It says password protected sharing. So this, what you just did there, what we're doing here, you're going to do for both computers or all computers that you want to have set up as a results kiosk or a quick results TV or any other feature built into the software where it automatically pulls a copy of the database from the main timing computer. All right, so that's step number one, is getting the password protected sharing off, and then also turning on all the public sharing and all that stuff. Next step, again, we're on the main timing computer. We're going to open up. Now, I like to put this in one particular location. You can pick any location on the computer. I don't like to do like the desktop or anything, because especially if you've got like OneDrive, it could be like a OneDrive location, and that OneDrive could try to do its best to try to sync things up between other computers, and it can overwrite the file, and it can just cause a lot of headaches. So for me, I like to use kind of what's built into Windows, and every computer will have this same location. You go to C, and then Users, and then Public. And then here, you can do any one of them, but I do Public Documents. If you right-click on it, and then go to Properties, and then you'll see a Sharing tab. And when you click on that, you'll click on Advanced Sharing. And then here, you'll turn on the option that says Share this folder. And then I'll also go down here to Permissions, and I will make it to where everything's checked. And then once you do that, you're back on this screen. And it's important to note or write down or copy or do something. That information. You can email it to yourself, whatever you need to do, take a picture, whatever you got to do to store that information. Now, if your computer name is not easy, this is not an easy name to remember. This is a little side note here. So if you wanted to rename your computer, you want to do that early on in this process. You can just, again, click Windows E, and again, this Windows key on your keyboard, and then letter E like Edward, or of course Explorer. So Windows E, and that pops up a window here. It's just a folder browser window. But anyways, so when you do that, you can come over here and right click on this PC and go to Properties, and you'll see an option here that says Rename this PC. So that gives it a new name. It'll force you to restart the computer, but that's perfectly fine. You want to get that done before you start doing the other things, which we'll cover in a second. So once you've got the folders shared and you've got the computer name, like this is the path that you're going to navigate to on the other computer, then this computer is essentially ready to go. There's maybe one more step in the software. So in the software, you're going to point the backup path to that location you just set up as the shared location. So here we're going to see Users, Public, Documents. Okay. Again, sorry about the focus on the phone. And then if you wanted to, you can go and do Copy Database. Now, you don't have to. That's just if you wanted to, on the other computer, confirm that you do see a database file out there. So besides that, the only other setting in the software is if you open up. Now, I started this process I should have mentioned by copying, or actually created a brand new folder with a new database just so we can test it here. But it is best to test it where you've got the exact same database on both computers. So if you're not familiar with how to get the database, is just a single file. If you click on the settings screen, you'll see the location in the actual file itself. So this racetiming.db file it's a really small file, like an Excel file or any kind of individual file. You just copy that to like a jump drive or email it to yourself or something, and then put it over on the other computer. And then on the other computer, if you dropped it on somewhere or whatever, you click on the settings button, click on the browse button, and then select that database file. Again, sorry about the focus thing here. So anyways, that's how you can get both computers with the same database or the same race. That allows us to do this, to where we test it. Same race here, same race there. And then, all right, so the final thing in the software you want to make sure is, let's open up that race I created. I'm going to go to Open Race and select the Kiosk. Let me find my mouse here. There we go. And then here, you're going to go to Time Race on the main timing computer. And you're going to, on the actions keys, now I've got texting, the Endurance membership, so it's going to ask me if I want to send text, because I created the race today. Or have it set for today, but I'm going to hit no there, of course. Here on the Action Keys tab, you're going to make sure you check off the box that says Auto Copy. And you can decide how frequently this checks, or at least what this means is this will wait for a period of inactivity before it pushes a copy of the database out. Because if the software sees that it's a super busy moment of the race, then I don't want it doing anything but focusing on timing. And so now you can bump that up or down. I've never had a need to change that value. By default, I think it may be 2 seconds it's set to. It could be 1, I don't know. But the point is, even in a really big race, you're going to always find where there's a period of inactivity for at least a second or two between finishers. And now if you ever have a race that is so busy that won't happen for a long time, then you can force it to copy by pressing F7 or clicking the link here. And that's going to push a fresh copy of the database out to the backup path. So that's everything you do on the main timing computer. And I guess before we move over to the kiosk, I do want to mention kind of a bird's eye view of kind of what's going on. The main timing computer is, we don't want to touch the main database. And so you don't want to set whatever folder your main database is in as your public shared folder, because you don't want the kiosk touching your live database in real time. The little database that we're using here does a great job. It's easy to install and all that stuff, but it is not meant to be like a network database where other computers outside of this computer are trying to touch it. So the main timing database, as your timing is being updated, of course, in real time when things are happening, but then the timing software is going to push a backup out to a shared folder, and that shared folder should be local to this computer. You don't want to have that shared folder going across to like trying to push the database over to this computer or somewhere else, because while you're timing, again, Windows will actually start to bog down or freeze up or have issues if you're pushing a large file across a network. And so ideally, you've got your backup path on the main timing pointed to a local path on this computer. And then again, that local path or that local folder is shared so that other computers can see it. So now this computer, what it's doing is it's also got, if you go to its settings screen, it's going to have its own local thing. So this is on the C drive. This is local to itself. But it's going to have a backup path that is a shared location that's actually looking here. So we want our kiosk computers, which are, they're not as critical as timing, of course. We want those to be doing the job in the background of pulling the data across locally. And so, anyways, that's kind of how they're all set up. So on the kiosk computer, let's set these up. So you do the same thing. We're going to go to Control Panel, make sure everything's shared like you saw earlier in the video. And then what you're going to do is you're going to, now to get that backup path mapped, you're going to go Windows E, and then remember that computer name and where it's got backslash and then the shared folder, which again I'll pull up over here. So what we did is, if you go to that shared folder, see users, public, and then public documents. So here, that Windows-59 whatever, that is what we're going to want to type in here. Sometimes you get lucky, and if you click on the network path down there, you actually just see it show up. Now this is a different computer, this is not that one. So I don't know the rules on it, it's just hit or miss. But what you could always do is come up here to the address bar. And again, how to get to here, I just did Windows E. And that brings up Windows Explorer. But here you can just type in // and then as you type in the name, hopefully it finds it. If not, type out the whole thing. Just the computer name's all you really got to do. And when you click on it, you'll see that shared folder, and I may have actually shared the whole users folder, but that may have been a mistake. But anyways, and that was not today. That was sometime in the past. But anyways, there's your database folder. And if we open it up, you should see that database file we pushed out just a few minutes ago. But what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the documents folder. We're going to right click on it. Now this is not required. You could not have the drive mapped, but I like to have it mapped because then if you do Windows E like this, just Windows E, it pops up Windows Explorer, and right off the bat you can see if that network drive is visible or not. So I like that I can quickly take a quick look and see, okay, yeah, that is working, everything's connected, we're fine. Otherwise, you just have to pull up the kiosk and pray that it's working. There is an option in the kiosk, I'll show you in a second, where you can tell if it's working or not, but I like to know just by doing Windows E, boom, there it is, it's working good. So to set up a map drive, you're going to right click on the folder, and you'll see an option in here that says Map Network Drive. And when you click on that, it's going to ask you to pick the drive letter at which you want it to be called. So you can pick any letter, doesn't matter. And then you just leave this checkbox checked where it says Reconnect to Sign In, and then hit Finish. And once you've done that, now you've got a mapped drive that you'll see if you click on like this PC, it'll be here. So there's my mapped drive. There's no real reason to open it or do anything. It's just there, letting you know, hey, I'm good. Doesn't have the red X on it like this other one. I'm not sure which PC that is, but anyways, so then your final step of this process is to go to Settings and then hit Browse, and then select that Z drive or whatever drive letter you selected as your backup location. And so now with that, what happens again is now this backup location is looking at this shared folder over here, and is constantly looking while the kiosk is open. Is there a new file? Is there a new file? Or is it newer than what I have? And if it finds one, then it takes it, copies it over, and replaces its local copy, which is that top location in the screen. And so then if the connection drops or if there's a problem, no big deal. You've got results up until that drop at least, and then the participants or the people working the kiosk are none the wiser, and they continue printing results. Now after a while, of course, they'll have finishers coming in or going up to the kiosk where they don't have results if it stays down. But if you have little momentary blips or it goes out for a few seconds, you probably won't even notice. So now if we go to Erase Tools, Results Kiosk, and we open this up, what you'll notice is this date in the top left. That represents the last time the database file was updated. And so as long as this date is in black, it's a black color, then that tells you that the kiosk computer and these are just fine. If I were to delete that folder or close the laptop down or the network goes down, then that text would actually turn red, letting you know that it's not good. So let's go ahead and simulate some times coming across. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit here so you can see. So no, we don't want to send text. Yes, we want to start the race. And I'm going to edit the time to make it look a little more realistic. Okay, and then here comes our first finisher. Now what you'll see is I'm going to manually put a time in, but on the Action Keys tab, what you'll see is this copied at is actually going to update to whatever the current time is. Now I didn't restart this computer. I noticed right before I started recording that it actually was set to Eastern time. So it's very interesting that it still has an hour ahead there, even though the Windows time here is right. But it should still work. Now I want to say that whenever I hit the Enter key, this is going to wait a second or two to say, okay, I think it's safe to go ahead and copy the database. And then what this is going to do, if you click on the race name, this is going to do a check. And you can drop this up or down if you want. But every 10 seconds, it's going to check to see, hey, is there a new update at which I should pull over? And so it's going to be a few seconds before it copies over, but that's okay because obviously they just finished a run. It's they're going to collect themselves, they're going to catch their breath for a second. It's probably going to be a minute or two or more before they even walk over the kiosk. And so, but there are different settings in here. You can decide if you want to show division results, team results, overall results, or whatever. I'm going to turn off all the division results and just show overall results for now. Actually, you know what? Let's just do division results. So that's going to show just division results whenever they start coming in. You can decide how fast it scrolls, all kinds of things. So we get that going. Here comes our first finisher, and again, just so you can see before we go, we got a last updated 5:43:14, and then last copied at 6:43. So again, your computers, those will be accurate times. My time zone thing was just goofy there. So here comes our first finisher. There they go. So now this should update to 6:44. Just did. And we should see this time update to... Now, this one, again, is be local time to itself. It should say 5:40 something. And again, it's checking every 10 seconds, so it's going to be a little bit here before it checks. You'll see that date time update, and the results come in. So that's how that works. So here comes another finisher, and maybe now you can see both screens a little bit. Got another finisher. I already did that guy. So 5. Okay, so there's a few more finishers. We should start to see them appearing over here. And for this demo, I probably should have checked or set the check time to like 1 second or something, but it'll come across in a second. Now you could do, by the way, I've seen some people, there's the results there. So now the green represents these are award winners. I've got the division results pulled up. But you could definitely, I've done it before. I think it's okay, even though I've told you, having the backup on a non-local address is not best. But if you do have strong internet or, good hotspots or whatever, you could set the backup path to a Dropbox or some other location at which they can see it. But to me personally, I like the just use my phone as a hotspot. Just so you know, if you have any troubles with that, or as an emergency backup, you can always, and let me pull this back up actually, while you're timing even, you can do it. So let's go to the kiosk, race, time race, and let's say you discover that, okay, this thing is not working like I thought. For some reason, my phone's hotspot is not reaching as far as I want to have the kiosk, or just something's not working. I mean, for whatever reason. If you do have a jump drive, you could press F8 on your keyboard, and that pulls up the settings screen. You can, on the fly, change the backup path to the jump drive. Just plug it in and pick whatever drive it is. And then you would have to come in here to the kiosk and close it out, go to the settings, and then tell it its backup drive is now the jump drive. And what happens, of course, is while you're timing, if the jump drive is not in, no big deal. It recognizes it's not there. It doesn't try to back it up. But the moment you do plug it in, you can either press F7 to push the backup out at that point. So when I've used a jump drive in the past, I plug it in, F7, you see it update, take it out, plug it in here, which of course this computer now is looking for the D drive or whatever this drive is assigned when you plug it in. And so its backup path is here. So the moment you plug it in, it automatically recognizes and then updates itself. So, if you had to, you can get a volunteer that is simply walking the jump drive back and forth. And I don't think they have to go super fast because, again, it's going to take a few minutes before finishers get over there anyways. But, that is an option to use a jump drive. The other last recommendation, I guess, is to have a volunteer work in the kiosk because it sure does stink if people walk over and they just take all the time in the world scrolling around the results, having fun, and the line starts to form behind them, and they don't care that, maybe they've never seen this screen, they don't know how to work it, or let's say that there's a problem and the kiosk goes down. Well, you don't want people to resort to cannibalism and like going crazy because people go bananas sometimes over the smallest things. And so, if the kiosk is having issues, it's nice to have a volunteer there saying, hey, come back in a few minutes, so we'll get it squared away. It kind of keeps people, number one, rolling through it, and number two, people don't panic, and you got a volunteer. You can say, it's like, hey, if there's a problem, just come let me know, and just maybe close the screen if you need to for a little while or whatever, or tell people, hey, come back in a few minutes, we're having an issue. So anyways, that's my other recommendations. Have a volunteer here, but I guess that's it. I hope that helps on setting it up, and if I missed anything, I'll maybe add a comment in the description of something, or maybe I have to redo the video, but hopefully this covers everything.